Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're just seeing my face for the very first time, hi, my name is Adora and you're watching Life with Ada Beke. Please don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, share, spread the word about me. You should not keep me, don't be stingy. Let other people know that somebody like me exists on the internet. Okay, yes. And if you're one of my OGs, one of my returners, hi, thank you so much for always watching my videos. Thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for always coming back and loving me. Please don't forget to continue to like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Watch some of my other videos. Continue to support me, please. I really love it and need it at this crucial time. Okay, yes. So let's get on to today's video. You guys, I promised, I said I was going to do more and more videos that cater to the kind of emails or DMs that I get. So one of the most popular requests or question that I get is about money, and it makes sense. Like, this med school process is not just expensive in applying, but it's also expensive in attending. See, a lot of people want to know, how can I save? What can where is it? Where can I get money? Okay, money. So I want to preface this video by saying that at the end of the day, nowhere is cheap unless you get a full ride that is fully covered. Somebody paid everything. Piam. You're going to pay some money that is going to hurt your pockets regardless. However, I'm just giving you some of the things I found, or some of the, let's say, tips and tricks of places, to find cost-effective med school. So they're not cheap. It's not like they're it's not like they are free, or it's not like you will not pay. You gotta pay. You will pay small, but it's more cost effective. Okay, so this is just like something I found over the years that has made med schools more affordable. So the first is Texas. Yes. You'll be like, Texas? Yes, Texas. For some reason, the state of Texas subsidizes the cost of medical school. So Texas medical schools are way cheaper than anywhere else in the country. It has something to do with the government subsidy. Every state school, and I'll talk about this more, every state school, the state subsidizes, a little bit of the cost. But Texas, they subsidize a lot. So I have seen Texas med schools that their tuitions are under $20,000 a year. However, what's the caveat? Texas medical schools do not participate in the regular AMCAS. Like, they have their own application process, which is called TMDAS, and that's because they do like some kind of lottery or something. I can't speak too much about it because I don't know too much about it, but I know that they have their own application service, and they are very, very biased towards accepting Texas residents. Like, they want people who live in Texas, who don't want to go, who want to do their residency. So I think the reason why med school in Texas is so cheap is because they want to retain their physicians. Like, it's like, we are paying for you so that you can stay here. In a way, if you're somebody who believes that, oh, maybe I want to do this Texas way, consider going to undergrad in Texas, or consider doing your post back in Texas. I believe you have to have lived in a place for a year or so, either 6 months to a year, for you to be able to claim in-state residency. So let's say you did your undergrad in Minnesota or something, and you moved to Texas and you worked for like a year, then you applied to med school. I think at that point you would qualify for Texas Texas in-state residency, and you will be qualified for like the in-state tuition. So as a result, like, Texas schools are not too accepting of international students because they really want people who are in-state. Like, they're not too accepting, I won't lie, but their tuition is cheaper. That's Texas State for you. Now, additionally, other state schools tend to be cheaper than private universities. So a lot of state schools, whether it's New York, whether it's California, if you check, their tuition is going to be cheaper than tuition of other private universities. They tend to be cheaper. So, but the caveat here is that you have to be considered an in-state resident. So like, they tend to have two different tuitions. So they have one tuition for people who are in-state residents, and they have another tuition for people who are considered out-of-state residents or international students. Again, state schools do tend to be more biased to people who live in the state, and the rules of residency apply as well. So let's say you live in California, but you got into a medical school in Missouri. So initially, when you moved to Missouri, that your first year, you might be paying out of state tuition. So maybe in-state tuition might be 30-something thousand, out of state tuition might be 50-something thousand. So what they are charging you technically is out of state tuition initially. But let's say you move to Missouri and you change your state of residence to Missouri. So for your second year and subsequently, they would charge you in-state tuition, because at that point you would have gained in-state residency, if that makes sense. So you have lived there for a year, you gained in-state residency, so you would be charged in-state tuition. I just want to say that like all these my tips and tricks don't really apply for international students. I will get to a point where it will apply, but a lot of it does not apply. I'm so sorry. Like regardless, as an international student, you're considered out of state. Like you're considered out of state. So even if you change residence, like you're not considered. They don't consider you. Then this next part does apply to international students a little bit, which is private schools. So private schools don't really have in-state or out of state, because they don't get that like state's funding. Like the state is not funding what they are doing. However, private schools do tend to have more scholarships. They tend to have more scholarships. They tend to have a bigger budget. So if you end up going to somewhere like Harvard, Brown, Washington University in St. Louis, all these big name schools, they tend to have a bigger endowment. They have big alumni. So there might be pockets of money here and there, like that you can access, that state universities don't have access to. So, and these usually also tend to be available to international students. So that's like the good thing about private universities. So they tend to be more expensive, but they have more scholarships that are accessible for everybody, if that makes sense. Then other ways to get your, to get your medical school kind of like to be more cost effective. If you're in the military. So this military one also just applies to U.S. residents and green card holders, I believe. So if you're, U.S. citizens and green card holders. So if you're in the military, the military will pay for your medical school. I think the only caveat to that is that there are certain residencies like that are only like that are open for military. Like as in, like let's say you're in the military now. You can't really do some kind specialty, or they don't really need certain specialty. Like they might not really need a dermatologist. They might need more primary care, or they might need more surgery or trauma. Does that make sense? Military, think about it. They might not really need OB-GYN like that. So I would say consider something like that. Consider what kind of specialty that you might be interested in before joining the military, because it will limit what kind of specialties, because you have to serve them. So the thing about the military is that you're serving, like you served in the military. So like that service is your payback, like it's how you're paying back that tuition. Then there's also something called the National Health Service Corps. So I'm not too familiar with it, but I do know that it is a kind of way when they can either, if you get accepted, I think they can either pay for your med school at the start of it, or even after you graduated, if you get accepted, they can like backdate. They'll pay for your loans, if that makes sense. So it's either front loading the med school, or they are paying for your loans. So with the National Service Corps, if you join, I think the commitment with that is that you have to serve for a number of years in an underserved community. So maybe it might be a rural area, it might be like an urban area that doesn't really have a lot of, services. It might be working with marginalized communities, just something that you have to give back for a number of years in an underserved community. So you want to think about that when you're considering like, oh, I want to, start making money immediately. Like, so it's like a give and take. Do you, so the National Health Service Corps is something that is available and you can think about. So these are some of the ways that I've seen that people make med school to be a little bit more cost effective for them to be able to sort out some of the tuition things. Obviously there are scholarships, there's grants, again there's loans. Everybody takes out loans. So but I'm just giving not the regular, I just wanted to give not the regular tips, like some of the other things that people might not be aware of. So some of these things I've said, please go research them, see if they're a good fit for you, and go ahead with them. Like some of these military, the health service corps, some of these private schools with massive endowments, see if that works for you. And thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I remain your girl Adaveke. Please don't forget to watch my previous videos and my future videos. Continue to like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you in the next one, okay? Bye.